Hello and welcome to Dario's Comic School, and today we will take a look at a topic that I wanted to do a long time ago, and it is called framing, lighting and color. I know it's a bit much. Maybe 3 separate videos would have been cool, but maybe I cover every topic in this video and then we expand from this. Originally, I wanted to do a comic on how Mike Mignola does very cinematic panels and that he always delivers with his framing, coloring and camera work, but I didn't know at the time what I had in my hands. And don't click away when you will have watched this video. I don't know how long it will. You will be ahead of most of the people because you know these 3 fundamental things, and it will change the game because it changed mine. So I don't know, I stumbled upon it. I was checking out, somehow I found, I don't know, I'm always watching things about movie, and this week I was watching Wes Anderson movies, and everything applied in that. So I didn't know that. I didn't watch Whiplash yet. It's a movie about a drummer, I think, and I stumbled upon a video, and it was like Whiplash short versus feature-length movie. Why does it look so different? So we're talking here amateur versus pro in movie making, but the same applies for comic because it's a visual medium, and so yeah, the rules just apply. Let me show you how. And so the video went into how the short, like 10 to 20 minute longs, looks very different to the feature movie, and why movies look so much different than, for example, shorts. And it was about the camera, the framing. It was about the set design. Well, I would say this is the framing in our comics, like camera, scene, everything that goes into this. Like I wrote down here in your set design, let's grab here the 100 bullets. Our set design or the framing is, as soon as we start the comic, this is our framing. This is one big panel. It's a splash page, but it's really 2 panels. It's the framing. We're in Paris because this is very iconic, and there's a fight going on here. We can see only the silhouettes, and so as you can see already, our camera work in the comic is not limited to a budget. The only thing that limits us is our imagination and the ability to draw that thing. I can't get the camera to focus. Come on, focus. And as you can see, we're already in the movie, in the comic, and it's Paris. It's a back alley. And it's really 1 panel, but it's somehow 2. And you can see people are betting on a fight. And you get this from 1 picture. You get where we are, more specifically where we are in Paris, because like we could be everywhere in Paris, but we're somehow in a back alley where people are fighting and people are betting money on that fight. Boom, 1 scene. That is the framing. But let's talk about numero 2, and that is the lighting and the color. We'll come to that in a second. So so you have your framing, your set design, where you are, and a lot of things make that very believable. Like, let's say, set design in Frank Miller's comic, when we enter a bar, or here we have this shabby home, again, to write home. As you can see, already from the floor, from the police, from the way this building is structured, we get the impression, even if it's just very minimalistic, we already know where we are. And so set design is kind of whatever goes into the picture, and it's called framing for a reason, because it frames where the action will take place. And there is no action without a light. And I would say what distinguishes amateurs from pros in comics and movies is the ability to create contrast. And contrast creates dramatic pictures. As you can see here, it's not the same image, so it's not really fair. But let's say you have naturalistic light, for example, the sunlight. As you can see my hand, it's kind of evenly lit, but you get a more, I would say, like this is like a flat image, but if you have this and my thumb is in the shadow, you get a more dramatic image, as you can see. Or this is like a flat image, and then if you do this, you have a much more nuanced image, because we have here some light and here some dark. It's more interesting than, let's say, this flat image. And so every comic artist that understands the medium, and every movie artist understands that you have to contrast, you have to bring yin and yang, and this is what creates, like, as you can see this here, you have like a yin and yang of black and white, the lights of the car, light the ground, but then also like the night sky is in white and everything else is in black, and it's very, very interesting. Here Marv grabs his jacket, and up here in the background we have nothing going on, but Marv, and especially to the downside, we spot the blacks, and this is where the interesting action is taking place. Or if you can see here, we have a big room, it's all white, and we have this heart-shaped bed, and in the focal point we have this girl who died this night, and we have the hearts, and then Marv kneeling, but we have some very interesting shadows going on here, and that gives our scene the depth. And it's as well like the white room and the contrast of the scene, the focal point, but it's also everything in this is also like, let's say, the beauty of the woman is the highlight. The hearts are kind of lit for expressing love or lovely feelings. We have Marv here, but he's hunching down, and he casts a shadow. Like, you can interpret, how do you say, you can put in very, very much meaning into this. But as you can see here, busy lines, here a bit of white lines. So lighting, I would say, creates definitely interesting pictures and creates a certain mood. And in the normal world where we have mostly naturalistic light, things don't look so dramatic. But go watch a movie and you will find there are always beautifully lit, but not only the movies. Let me show you some examples here. And what I also want to show you, I got here, as you can see, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. from Jim Steranko. And let's check out here the 100 bullets. As you can see, already implementing the framing, what we can see, everything that's important. And then also like black and whites. And as we start the comic, I wanted to show you this, just to show you that comic artists do not exist in a vacuum or vacuum. How do you say it? Like, it is essential that we rhyme, remix, learn from our predecessors, and I think in art, and this will be a separate video, in art there used to be apprenticeship, and that's how an artist learned. And today there's only like probably people in front of their laptops trying to figure it out through YouTube. And that's also a kind of apprenticeship, but it used to be more close to home. But that's a topic for another day. I just wanted to show you, as you can see, things you can learn from your predecessors. But as you can see here, we have definitely the framing, but also a lot of heavy blacks, and it creates very interesting images. As you can see, the Eiffel Tower in the background, and then our eye is guided downward. As you can see, the Eiffel Tower guides us down here, and then we got a bit of colored space, and then the water guides us towards the fight. We see the people, and then it guides us up again. And of course, this is an Eduardo Risso comic, so there are a lot of heavy blacks. And as you can see here, the framing is like the camera work going into this. The set design is pretty much the people in the scene and how they look. It tells us a lot about, the set design, which people or what we are looking at. It already grounds us into the world. And I have to say, the best one for this to study is definitely, in my opinion, Frank Miller and Mike Mignola, because they always create this heavy chiaroscuro, as you can see here. Not a lot of colors, not a lot of background building, but definitely the framing. As you can see, these three pictures already tell us so much. Like there's a cross, there's a Jesus on the cross, but there's a wolf's head on the Jesus. Something must be wrong here. And then we see the silhouette of this guy approaching. We barely see anything, but the shape tells us, and also the lighting tells us so much, that the light is coming from this side and it sets the mood. And then we see the wolf, and as you can see here, like classic Mike Mignola doesn't even bother to show you, to show us anything. It just tells the story via silhouettes, background, midground, foreground, just black and white. We're not at a color yet, and it tells us definitely, or it makes it very interesting. As you can see here, he tells the story more or less just with lighting the room. Light gives form to the room. Like we have the setting. The setting is a medieval castle. As you can see, Red's this guy trying to escape this place. And it's pretty much shaped with light. So what I want to show you is, like, let's say I draw this guy, or let's say I draw these guys and girls. There's really no interesting shadow, no dramatic thing. That's what I would call naturalistic lighting, naturalistic coloring. It's my hand here, it's naturalistic. But if I start, bouncing the light, I don't get really some of the light. But as you can see, if I start doing this, I get some interesting thing. Like one part of my hand is in the shadow and one part is lit. And this is naturalistic lighting. There's no contrast. But this might be maybe a bit more interesting. And everybody does it in the movies. I even watched, I didn't know Wes Anderson had it. His first feature movie was Bottle Rocket. It was okay, or pretty decent, with Luke and Owen Wilson. And I didn't know that he made a short movie, like before he made the feature movie. And even in that short movie, I think he doesn't have a huge budget, so he has to use naturalistic light sources, but he's still, like, if the light comes from this side and he's light comes from this side, and he's shooting in a bar. He tries to have the brothers sit along, and like this is the face of Owen Wilson or Luke Wilson, and on this side he has a cast shadow, and on this side he's lit by the natural light, and then like Owen Wilson sits here and Luke Wilson sits here. And so, okay, my hands are maybe not the prettiest, or maybe they are, but as you can see, I have a shadow on this side and light on this side, and here's the other face. And if I would just do this, it would just look flat. So we always try to create depth in a medium that is flat, because like the camera or movie is flat, and comics are also flat. And with the adding of light, we create three-dimensional space, and that's what we want most of the time. And also we want to create some interest and drama, like in the thumbnails you click on, or in the titles. We don't miss out on this. So that's where we go. And let me show you Frank Miller on this topic, and then we move to color. So as you can see here, there is some color here, but also Frank Miller tells this silent panel with almost just silhouettes, black and whites. And well, let me search for another one. Or the best is like in 300, Frank Miller goes like pretty bonkers. Even like the storytelling, look at this. Like this is just the beginning of, I would say, book 3 or day number 3. You just have these cliffs, the hot sun, and then here you have the betrayer and Xerxes' forces, and this is the panel, just this. But it's just this beautiful yin. Yin is the light force, and yang is the dark force, and it creates this beautiful balance. And let me go further into this. Or if you see here the masks, it's all like the contrast. Sometimes if I have a flat picture, so let's say I have a thumbnail picture for the YouTube video, I will push the contrasts. I will push the saturation, because sometimes I make a picture and it's a bit flat. But then you push it, and the contrasts, like this, I would say is a flat picture. And now I focus on the blacks, or zoom in a bit. Let me focus on the blacks, and now this is more saturated. This has now more contrast. So try to work with black and white. Try to start, like this is the framing. We have here the frame. It's like very cinematic, cinemascope. And then we got this 1 point perspective coming towards, or is it a 1 point? But we got this perspective, and we get told like these ones are the some of the elites of Xerxes, and there's no need to show anymore. They're just black, they have masks, and they have shields and spears, and that's it. And as you can see here, the spears have some heavy contrasts. Like you could show the spear from this side, but we get a black angle, like you know what I mean, like the example I showed before. And now we'll come to the final point, and the final point usually is the color. Like did I tell everything? Like camera, scenes, setting, everything you want to put in. This is very important also in Wes Anderson movies, for example. Most people create a camera like we've seen in Right Away. Like we try always to make the scenes look very cinematic, so we always look in this direction or in this direction, so we have a certain field of depth. But Wes Anderson creates the field of depth like it goes down here, and then it will be very symmetrical, and then it will put a figure here, a figure in the back, very small, and then maybe a figure here in the front. But he always plays with very symmetrical pictures or people looking at each other, and he uses it more like a theater and not very movie-esque. He always takes an approach that is very theater-like. So coloring, tone, mood, feeling, color palette, And here I want to show a bit of the color palette from 100 Bullets and from Dracula and Aliens. Like Dave Stewart does it the best, or I call it the Dave Stewart thing, but maybe it started here with this Dracula. And let me show you. Like, this is very naturalistic light. You go outside, you meet up with friends, you color the face in a skin tone, and you color the trees and the sky, or you have a guy and a girl, and this is very naturalistic. And I didn't do my best job with a moody, but I will show you in a second. But sometimes it's good if you watch movies like The Matrix or Dark City or whatever movie you see, usually it's not messy. Like, they have a color palette because they know they don't want to have a red here and a blue here and a yellow. It's not random. The whole scene is built to frame the action, and they frame the action also through the lighting. Let me show you here in this thing. As you can see, the planet is framed, or here these birds are framed, or then the ship and the guy on the picture, or the action changes, or the light creates the moods. Like, we have the lights go on, safety is on, and now we have this red, which might mean danger. Then we have a bit of the lighting from the gun, people die, and then we're back to red. They're trying to escape the hedge. The lighting changes, so we might see a change in mood. And the mood could be, okay, they were in danger, but now they're escaping. Also, it's like maybe the cold green light from the ship, and then we're outside in space, and here it's a blue. Blue maybe indicating the cold environment of the space, sub-zero. And then we land here on this beach, and here we get a bit of more warmer tones. And this is something that color can do for you. And so my advice for you is to, as you can see here, this is a bit like Castaway. As you can see, not everything is lit realistically, but very movie-like and very moody. As you can see, this is not his skin tone. It's just a yellow. Come on, zoom in. It's just a yellow, and then the meat, because like we don't get skin tone in this scene. We get the tone that in real life a flame would cast on this guy's face, and that's a thing you should always kind of think about when you're coloring, that you might want to have a color palette, or you might want to think, okay, what would fit the scene. As you can see, we have here a restaurant scene. We have the framing, we have the characters, we have the scenes, we have the table, they're eating together. But this is a restaurant scene, so the colors are kind of brownish, orange, beige tones. It's very slow, it's very cool. Nothing is threatening here. So we're just enjoying, talking, having a good time. Then we go outside, and as you can see, the color palette changes from this everything is good and we're eating and having a warm, beautiful time, to the colors of nighttime Paris. We get this blues, we get purple, we get white contrasted with black. And as the scene changes, we get now again more earthly tones, and then let's see, there's a rising tension, and here we get more brighter tones when they start fighting, but still nothing really, it's down to earth right here. But let me show you the colors, like they will change. We're gradually starting to get somewhere, and then at a certain point there is a very dramatic scene and the saturation, it gets a bit darker or more colorful. And this is very a pinnacle point, because like he's talking about this man and some secret society, and then you have the page turn and you get this red. And even though I think this is the cover for a comic, it sets the mood. It tells you, okay, this is something in the dark, but it's not moody or seedy or earth tone. It's like maybe from hell or from a furnace. And so color definitely amplifies then your storytelling. And with Mike Mignola stuff, it's always great because as you can see here, this guy sneaks up in this crypt and then he wants to kill Count Dracula, and he's trying to do it, and then we got just this yellow panel, and see how this flashes us, yes. And then Dracula awakens, and then we get again this earthly colors, but Mike Mignola pretty much frames it the way he wants it, then puts in heavy blacks, and the colors always create a very moody thing. Like here, this is a cold crypt, and then we have here a vampire, but she's very elegant, and I don't know what she has eaten, if she's eaten the baby or she wants to. And here we get the contrast of the evil completely in white, and then she spits out some blood, and the cross in white or beige now, and Van Helsing covered in blood. And I think pictures like this are very important because they boil down the essence of what is important in your color. So it's not, when you color your comic, less is definitely more, and will get you the better results, and it will focus down on what you really need. As you can see here, I think this is back in London. Mina is reading a book. She's looking outside her cart, and she sees this guy, which is Count Dracula disguised, and then just bare bones, beautiful inks, dramatic lighting, and just, yeah, maybe a bit too little on these books, but why not learn from the masters? And my advice is always, if you want to draw and create, follow your heroes. As you can see, these comics I have now in my hand are kind of my heroes, my style. You look into your comic heroes and you will know what to do. I show you, before I wrap it up, I show you something I do not... as you can see, we have here Jim Steranko on Nick Fury, and as you can see here, the framing is all over the place. There's no real concentration. We're here in a submarine, then Nick Fury storms something, and then we get out here, and this is what I would call very naturalistic coloring. Like everything looks the way it should, and they shoot, and Hydra is green, and our people are in blue, and he has a skin tone, but it's not really that interesting or engaging, I would say. But then there's some very iconic panels where, let me see, there's not the color doesn't create the mood here so much. Here it's like they're more concerned to make clear, distinct drawings, so you can make out who's who and what's what. And it depends where you stand on this scale and what you want to do with your comics. So with Nick Fury's face, I say we see us, and also very beautiful. But yeah, I wanted to give you a quick introduction to framing, lighting, and color, a topic in which we could go separately. Maybe I will do a 5-minute video on each, so we have a big one like this, and then smaller one, more digestible. And yeah, I wish you a great day. I will do probably the next video on how RockNRoll Vampires is coming along. As you see, pages to draw and challenges to be had and solved. And we'll see ya.